Hey everybody, and welcome to the first ever Sunday Spoilers. I'm one of your hosts, Nick. Here with me today is...
It's Nate.
Thank you so much. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying the premiere of Nerd Radio, your national NerdNet Radio Direct. And continuing on, we have Sunday Spoilers. So a quick little what's to Sunday Spoilers. Basically, just we want to spoil stuff. We want to talk about stuff in depth. So usually with a movie, we'll give it like 2 weeks. With a series, we'll give you a little bit more time to view it, maybe 3 to 4 weeks. But then after that, we're going to, all holds barred. We're going to start talking about stuff. So make sure to follow us on our Discord. Follow us on Twitter and things like that. And we'll always kind of say what we're going to be covering next time. You know what I mean? So in the spirit of that, maybe I should actually go ahead and say what we're going to be covering next time. I have it here somewhere. Hold on. We're live, people. We're live.
Doing it live.
Doing it live. All right, so next time we're actually going to be doing the Umbrella Academy Season 2. I thought we'd talk about, the Muppets. It's on Disney+. They're having a new one there. Transformers War for Cybertron. They're having a trilogy come out on Netflix, so I thought that was kind of cool. So that's what we're going to be covering next time. So if you want, a heads up so that you can watch those things, so that you can watch the next episode, there you go. There's your heads up. Now, what we're going to be covering today is The Old Guard, that old Charlize Theron movie. And that was gross.
That was really gross.
That was ridiculously gross. We're actually going to be covering the Umbrella Academy Season 1 in anticipation for Season 2. And then Rick and Morty. So if you haven't seen any of those, do you even have Netflix?
Or are you like me and just don't watch anything until way later on?
Yeah, like a weirdo. Anyways, any hosers. So, I thought let's get started. We'll start off with a movie this time. Let's start with The Old Guard. So, starting off kind of basic, what's your synopsis? What did you think about The Old Guard?
Well, so with me, I'm very particular when it comes to watching stuff. I want to watch it on my time. And it's one of those that's like, oh, man, I really got to be in the mood for something. So when I went into this, it was like, okay, we're going to be talking about this. Let me go ahead and watch this. And so, when I started it, it was almost like I was starting with homework. So it's not like, oh, man, kicking my feet up with popcorn, let's get into this movie. But, man, I think that almost helped my perception of the movie because I was analytical about everything, and it was a great time.
Interesting.
There were parts that I was critical about as far as a movie structure goes. I can definitely see this as a different caliber of movie from others that I've seen like it.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff that they cover and just the overall general idea seems basic on the surface, but is super fascinating and complex when you really break it up. And overall, I thought the movie was really fun, really badass. I mean, the choreography was phenomenal, and I'm excited to see what they might do next. We'll, even in the spoiler show, I'll keep it slightly because we'll actually go into it. But honestly, with that too, I feel like the movie really was at its peak the third act. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, the world's the setting up the world of what's going on was really interesting. Shut up, Jesus!
We're doing it live.
Doing it live. The world itself is interesting, especially these characters. Overall, I'll go overall first as well. Obviously, overall, I thought it was just a really, fun is probably the best way to put it because it wasn't the best action movie of the year by far, but at the same time, it was just really well put together. I do have some grievances too, but overall, I thought it was actually really cool. Yeah. And to find out that, spoilers, that this is actually going to be a trilogy. And I didn't find that out until afterwards.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
Yeah. So it was nice not knowing that, because then I wasn't looking for the setup that happened at the very end. You know, the setup that
Yeah.
happened at the very end was just a nice surprise for me. Whereas if I knew going into it that it was going to be a trilogy, I would have been like, all right, what's that one more thing? You know what I mean?
Well, see, that kind of answers one of my biggest grievances I had about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You telling me that. I guess just get
let's
into it.
Let's get into it. What's your
just jump
favorite
into it.
part? Whether it be a scene, an aspect, a character, what's your favorite part of the entire movie?
Um,
And if you don't say Charlize Theron, we're just gonna stop it right now, and it's gonna go black.
her entire arc. I'm not,
Right.
and not her performance, but like, because at the very beginning I was like, this is kind of generic. Like,
Yeah,
this
right.
is okay, cool. But when you get further on and see, you know, all the things of like all the research that Copley had done,
Right.
and it's like, oh, like the importance of this character. As far as favorite part, I'm not going to do a typical Nate thing. If you've been with us
Oh my
for a while, you
gosh.
know what I'm going to do.
Are you gonna
I'm not
actually
do it.
choose something?
I'm going to choose something, but it's kind of fucked up.
Oh, okay, interesting. Go.
The whole part, the whole scene when they were talking, I don't remember the name, but whenever they were talking about Andy's first compatriot, like when she had the nightmare, when
Right.
what was it, Niall,
Niall, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, whenever she had the nightmare, was talking about it, that whole imagery in that story stayed with me through the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And to like my mother-in-law, who, you know, she lives with us, so you know, she had watched it prior, and she had said, oh my god, this is really, and so she walked out when I finished it, and we were talking about it, and I was like, just the idea of being immortal,
Right.
and like being stuck at the bottom of the ocean for 500 years, immediately dying as quickly as you come back to life is like, oh my god. And I think that ties into with the movie as a whole. I loved how they tackled immortality, because
yes, it wasn't just a gimmick. It wasn't just, you know, that. I guess gimmick is probably the best word. Anyways, go on.
Well, it's like this is kind of a odd comparison, but the other one that comes to mind that tackles these kind of themes that this one really expanded on was, do you remember the animated TMNT movie?
Okay, yeah.
The quote unquote villain, the basically rich guy, like
Right.
they kind of tackled in that movie of being immortal is not good. Like all you do is live in despair and misery because you watch everyone you love die.
Right.
And the fact that they kind of neatly showed it from two different perspectives or several different perspectives of that immortality is like, dude, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Like you went from just being an action movie to a thought piece.
Right. I thought that was kind of the most interesting about it overall. First off, favorite part, Charlize Theron. I thought her performance was really well. She was very stoic, and obviously as you go on, you know why she's so stoic. Because at the very beginning, it was kind of cliche for her to just be like, screw the world, man. I'm just sick of it. Just so...
Yeah, like the very beginning of it plays almost like a typical spy movie. Like,
right.
Oh, I turned around, got a picture, let me go do the thing where I go to... Which was cool in a way, but it's like, ugh.
It was maybe a little too cliche. And yeah, that moment where they like essentially get killed and then come back to life, that's kind of like, oh, okay, let's go. Let's freaking go. But yeah, she's my favorite part. But the whole part of the immortality, and how they actually made it like a through line. It wasn't just a gimmick so that they could have these cool set pieces and then everybody's okay by the end of it, which, you know, like any action movie from the 80s and 90s and today, any of them really would find some excuse to just put their characters through hell. And then like a really good example that has always gotten to me is like there's a couple of different scenes in like a Mission Impossible where Tom Cruise will just get the absolute shit beat out of him, or he'll get in a wreck on his motorcycle and then he just gets up and he's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's always been like super annoying. You know, that's why it's like in certain movies when the protagonist does get the crap beat out of them and you can see it like in their face and everything, I love it. Because so I like it. You know, and not only that, but then to have the twist of she doesn't have her immortality anymore. Andy, which is Andromeda something something. You know, you find out later on that basically she is this. There's like 4 different people throughout history that had that name, and you find out that that was essentially her the whole time. She was all these different people. And like you see her in the Civil War, and you see her like, but you know, all of a sudden she loses her immortality right around the same time that somebody else is getting theirs.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting, but also like she doesn't necessarily turn into another character. She's still fearless. She's still a badass.
Yeah.
And it's really just like, well, now what am I going to do with my life now that I know that it's coming to an end?
Yeah. And that's what I think is something I really, really enjoy about this movie is the lore. Like, it gives you it gives you a taste, and I'm hoping they expand on that a lot more.
Oh, for
but
sure.
Actually, that kind of leading into lore, one of my biggest grievances I had when I left this movie basically was, man, that would have been really cool as instead of it was more like this Netflix action movie into like a Assassin's Creed style like thing where it's this, you know, band of people that are these immortals that are going through history, you know, making changes and stuff like that, and you know, help.
So Quantum
help
Leap or Quantum Leap.
I mean, I guess, but like with the whole thing with the old guard, like I was like, oh man, that'd be really cool. But the whole with you saying it's going to be a trilogy, like I feel like alleviates some of that because like, oh, I'm getting more. Like I'm excited to see what they're going to do, if they're going to really expand this out to, because I mean, secret society kind of stuff I always find interesting, you know, Templars and assassins. But that's another thing I've liked about those games is the fact of you are in some way manipulating history and you are making a difference. So like I would really love if they did like some flashbacks to show more things like that, because that I love it.
So I mean, the big thing that kind of happens in this one, they get a new immortal. You know, what's his name? Cypress?
Who are you talking about?
The black guy.
That's a girl.
No, the other black person in the movie. You said his name earlier. It starts with a C. Copley, thank you.
Yeah.
He screws them over essentially so that Dudley can, you know, get his forever cure.
That's not. Is that Dudley?
It's freaking Dudley.
Because he looked a lot better. Oh no! Oh yeah, it is. I was thinking of Longbottom because I was like, God, he looks like that's not Longbottom because I remember he looked a lot better than that. That is Dudley. Oh my God.
Oh man, yeah, but he screws them over so that you know, he can get their
big fucking prick,
right? What was I saying? Oh, and then yeah, so he screws them over. The whole thing is essentially them trying to find him so that they can tie up loose ends. But at the same time, that's when the girl comes around, and they're like, okay, well, we can't just leave her out there. Essentially, ever since, now what's the Asian girl's name? I'm super bad with names.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to IMDb because I don't remember her name.
So then the Asian girl, she gets put in an iron coffin essentially down to the bottom of the sea. And so ever since that happened, they've essentially made a vow that they'll never get captured again. Like, they'll never let it happen. So that's why they're super careful. That's why, like, at the beginning of the movie, Charlize Theron's character is Quinn. Okay, there you go. So the Quinn. Charlize Theron's character is essentially like, we never do repeats. So whatever job they're doing as their little mercenary group, they never do repeats. And the main reason is so that they don't have any strings to tie up. And I thought that was really interesting. So they get screwed over. Copley is, you know, the mastermind behind that. But then you find out freaking Booker, which I didn't know this until repeated viewings, that Booker's actually the youngest out of all of them. Yep. So that kind of makes sense that the youngest out of all of them, he hasn't had time to really think about all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so he definitely has a different worldview, even though he's still like 500 years old. He has a different worldview than some of the other ones who have just been through more with each other, you know?
Yeah. Fun fact about Quinn, by the way, because I was just looking on IMDb. Quinn is actually also Rose from The Last Jedi, her sister, the one that's on the bomber that sacrifices herself. She's also in Bright, too, it looks like, but...
Yeah.
That's cool.
Cool.
Cool. Fun fact with Nate.
So yeah, Booker screws them over. The one guy, we're gonna call him an Armenian guy, gets captured. Now, for a while, it took me a while to remember who the hell this guy was. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Are you talking about Joe?
I don't know. The Armenian guy. There's only one Armenian guy. Or Iraqi or Afghanistan, you know.
Is it
I
the
guess
one
I'm saying-
that's the one that's like from the Crusades? Like
Well, there's two. The
Nikki?
gay couple
Yeah.
is from the Crusades, and
Yeah.
they killed each other over and over again before they're just like, screw it, I love you.
yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Oh,
not only did they do what Disney and Marvel are absolutely terrified to do, which is have a gay person in their comic book movie, but they did it in such an interesting way because here's these people who were mortal enemies and quite literally killed each other, you know, who knows how many times. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then after a while, they just realized that, like, the reason they keep coming back together is because they're meant for each other. Such an interesting thing. No, but so the one guy. So do you know what else he's from?
I was just about to say the same thing. I pulled it up. Are you going to reference Aladdin?
Yes, he's freaking Jafar. And like, it took me probably until the moment where they're like getting revived that very first time. And I'm just looking at him. It's like, I know him. And then he starts talking, and I'm like, oh, I know that voice. And it was like, it was bugging me so much. And I'm like, he's Jafar.
Yeah. He's also in What Happened to Monday, which is probably, I think, one of Netflix's, I think, best movies of all time. I'm going to be 100% honest. That one is great.
Yes, I do really like that one. I did not know he was in that one. No, but anyways, so they get captured, you know, all that good stuff. And that's kind of like, now that becomes like the main point of the story,
Yeah.
you know, which I'd say that's probably my biggest negative of the entire thing, because although the big bad was always kind of Dudley from the pharmacy company,
Yeah.
it was also just like a kind of, they weren't really paying attention into it. They didn't really know that much about Dudley and his pharmacy
Yeah.
company. They were more worried about Copley and tying up loose ends. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until like halfway through that they get attacked and they realize, okay, it's Copley and these other people that are after us because they got captured, and obviously they want to use us for science experiences.
Yeah.
So it just kind of sucks that oh geez, oh crap, I did something bad. Anyways, hi guys, we're back. God. Oh man. What was I saying?
You're talking about Copley. They were chasing after Copley instead of Dudley.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
they
but
didn't know about
that's
him.
my biggest issue with the movie is the fact that we really don't get the full breadth of the movie until a good portion of the way through. And
Yeah.
I always don't like that. Like, another really good example is like Rogue One. You know, through part of the movie, we're really just kind of going from one location to another with Jane Ursa until she really kind of finds herself, so to speak. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then we get to that third act, and it's like, fuck yeah, let's go. And that's kind of what happens here. Where, you know, we get a new immortal, so that means we got to go pick her up. Then we got to go find out Copley. Then we have to go do this. Oh, hey, there's this big pharmacy company that we need to, you know,
Yeah.
take care of. And so it really took until the third act. And that's why I think we can both agree that, yeah, that is when it gets really good. Because especially, like, that first scene when they're fighting together and kicking ass, you can see how long they've been working with each other. And so
Yeah.
then in the pharmacy company, when they're all basically trying to protect
Survive.
Charlize Theron's character, because now she can die, they're like, everybody protect Andy. Like, it was
Yeah.
really cool to just see how much they're willing to throw themselves at her.
Yeah. That was my other main criticism, is just the fact that it didn't seem like there was a lot of polish on it. Like, it's one of
Yeah.
those that you know, you can see that it's a great movie overall, but you've
Right.
seen other directors make movies similar, and it just has a type of polish that's just missing here. But I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the second and the third. Like, I hope that they kind of really, like, lore is my biggest thing. That's why I love stuff like Halo and Assassin's Creed. Sorry, I hit the mic. But like, give me more of that. Like, I want to understand the how, the why, the, like, just get into the nitty gritty. If they go farther history, I'm all in.
Yeah.
All in.
And who knows, maybe this one did have somewhat of a smaller budget. It really doesn't have like big globe trotting or something. So maybe this was kind of the test, and they were always planning to make it a trilogy, but how good this was received would determine the budget of 2 and 3 essentially. So I think it did good. Let's look up on that good old tomato. What is it on that tomato meter?
On the tomato meter. Let's look.
All right. So we got, it looks like a 6.7 on IMDb, 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. I like that. 70% on Metacritic. I would agree with the Rotten Tomato. I definitely don't agree with IMDb, and I could maybe see where Metacritic's coming from. Well, let's look at the audience, because sometimes that can give us an even better idea of like how the, oh wow, the audience is at a 71. I don't like that. It was a good movie, guys. Just jab it.
Yeah.
Darn it. Yeah, I definitely didn't think that was going to be that big of a difference. If anything, I thought it was going to be at least closer, but that's a whole 10% difference. But hey, what did you guys think about it? Let us know. You can down at the bottom, you got at TX3 Productions, ThreadX3 Productions, at gmail.com is another one. Get on our Discord. You can chat with us live. Somebody will be there. I don't know who. Well, you know. Coming back in a little bit, we're going to do a nice break of music. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Umbrella Academy Season 1.